before we get to today's program, we are going to take a quick detour and talk with a good friend that was on this show almost a year ago now. Wow. Anyhow, his name is Torbjörn Sassarsson, and for all you guys who have been following this program from the start and tuned into that show, know that Torbjörn is behind the website soultravel.se. And I've invited Torbjörn today to talk a little bit about an upcoming event. For all you guys who are in the vicinity of Stockholm, Torbjörn is hosting a very interesting lecture. Myself and of course Torbjörn is going to be there. The lecture is with Lynn Buchanan, and it's about remote viewing and the Stargate project, among other things. But let's let Torbjörn speak more about this. He's got all the details. So hey Torbjörn, it's great to talk with you again. Tell us about the event, when and where and so forth.
Lynn Buchanan from the Stargate project is coming here. It's his first time in Sweden, and he's one of the veterans, actually, real old remote viewing veteran from the beginning. So he knows all the guys that are spoken about on the net, like Joe McMonagle and so on.
Yeah.
And Mel Riley, he's very acquainted with Mel Riley and David Morehouse and so on.
Cool, and I know that Lynn was also in the movie that was made by Jim Marrs, The Secret of Redgate, isn't it right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
He was doing some remote viewing on extraterrestrials in that movie.
Yeah, sure. So tell us about the event and what Lynn is going to talk about.
He's going to talk about, of course, the history of the Stargate project. He's going to talk about remote viewing in the Kuwait War. He was doing remote viewing on Saddam Hussein, and he was trying to penetrate the tomorrow's battle plan, actually, that Saddam was planning for. He's going to talk about police work and finding missing people, and archaeology, remote viewing to find artifacts and so on. He will talk about remote viewing in business and for innovations. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Also, medical remote viewing, which is a kind of new research field emerging in the United States right now.
Yeah.
And he will mention remote viewing on extraterrestrials because, well, he hasn't missed that part due to all his experience.
Yeah.
And he will also talk about the future of psychic functioning, and of course, in the end, he will mention his own wisdom and insights from doing remote viewing for many years.
Sure. People can search for Lynn Buchanan, right? I have an interesting thread for people who want to know more about that.
Yeah, definitely. Wikipedia, the English version, international version, has a lot of stuff about him that are seem to be accurate.
Interesting. Yeah. All you guys who are in vicinity of Stockholm or want to take yourselves to that place, tell us when this is and where and what it costs and so forth.
Sure. Everybody are of course welcome that have the opportunity to come here to Sweden. The event will take place on April the 3rd. The cost will be $36 US for the event. It's going to be like 3.5 hours. It's going to be in the central part of Stockholm. It's a place called the Temple Knights Order. It's a historical building and a historical place that is in itself interesting to see, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Some interesting environment there too, absolutely. Very nice stuff, everybody. Check it out. It's soultravel.se.
They will find the information easily there.
Yeah, soultravel.se, and there's a button, I guess, on the right side of the page where you can see the name and of course image of Lynn Buchanan, so heads up on that. And Torbjörn, I guess we'll see each other there, right?
Yeah, we will meet there.
You'll do. Take care, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Take
you.
Care.
Today with us on the line we have our good friend and monthly regular guest Alan Watt, and we will be cutting through the matrix with Alan for the next hour or so. And for all you guys out there who might be new to the program, tuning in for the first time, you should know that we have all our previous shows with Alan archived on our website. You should also, of course, head on over to Alan's website, cuttingthroughthematrix.com, and check out the material that he's got on there. DVDs, CDs, books, and vital information. Also, of course, follow along the audio blurbs that Alan put up on his site regularly. And if I remember correctly, last time we had Alan with us, we kind of left off getting into talking about Africa, and this is something I'd like to follow up on today with Alan, kind of taking it where we left off last time we spoke. And you know, there's so much in regards to this, the suppression of the continent and so forth, and the historical background, and maybe we could get into that a little bit later. But first, of course, let's welcome back Alan to the program, and it's great to have you back again. You know, considering our latest experience and so forth with the website downtime and whatnot, I hope all things are well over at cuttingthroughthematrix.com.
Yeah, I think we upset some people, and they let you know through the most insidious ways.
Yeah. You know, I notice you have about 7 mirror sites or something up there now, so you won't go down that easily, eh?
That's right. To make it safer.
You know, also, of course, let me say thank you again to you, Alan, for so prominently helping us. You know, getting the word out and so forth. At the beginning of this month when our site went down and so forth. So thank you very much for that one.
It's no problem at all.
Yeah, and as you know, as soon as something happens, you know, we're here to help you spread the word also. So hopefully, you know,
I think that will probably be the format in the future for people, is to help each other. I think more of this will probably happen depending on the topics you choose.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly, and then that's a very good idea, you know. Oh, got some nice trains in the background there.
That's the Canadian National going, taking its goods from China across Canada, coast to coast.
Oh my God, yeah, through the. How are things going, by the way, in regards to the?
Well, they're always, these trains go every day with their amazing long loads, incredible amount of carriages.
Okay.
And it's all made in China. Everything pretty well that's manufactured for anything is now made in China.
Yeah. Amazing. The new industrial production country in the world, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, who'd have thought that communism would have used the capitalist techniques to outdo capitalism?
It's amazing, isn't it? Seems like they're connected somehow, I guess.
Yeah, it gets confusing somewhere.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Yeah, you know, getting I guess back to a little bit on the note that I wanted to begin on today. You know, in regards to Africa and so forth. I've always been, you know, curious to kind of you know, find out the reason behind you know, all the civil wars that is going on that has been plaguing Africa for so long. And it seems to me, at least, that the continent has been, you know, consciously held back or not allowed, if you will, to develop industrially. The suppression is just incredible. So, I mean, what the heck do you think is going on down there? I'm reading about, you know, some background in regards to Cecil Rhodes and a little bit about what's his involvement in the diamond business down there back in the late 19th century, I guess. But I don't know if we want to, you know, tie this even further back into ancient history or something. I don't know. What's your take on this? Why do you think is there a particular reason or agenda behind the suppression of the African continent?
You'll find that Africa has been exploited for thousands of years by the richer countries, even in ancient times. Africa had always been a source for slavery, and the northern peoples in Africa had no problem going down there over the many centuries and bringing slaves up. The Egyptians had lots of Nubian slaves, they called them, and they even had regiments composed of them that fought for Egypt. They were a little better taken care of. So it had always been used as a source, and also a source of, even back in ancient times, for exotic goods, including ivory, for jewelry and so on,
Yeah.
and various things. So it always has been seen as a resource. And in this system, which is really the same system today, it's still seen as a resource. Africa sits on some of the world's most abundant forms of mineral deposits, all kinds of minerals, and gold, of course, and silver and diamonds. And when Britain started to take the lead with the British Empire, when it was made to be the leader with a new empire by the same moneyed elite, then they sent missionaries initially into Africa. Missionaries were funded. You'll find like Livingstone, who was one of the most well-known ones, to do deep exploration of the inner continent. And he was funded by the Royal Society of England. That was an openly Freemasonic scientific organization attached to the Royal Academy. And they funded him with the stipulation that he would observe for certain materials, types of woods, anything which could be of interest to merchants while in there. So they've been using missionaries for a long time for probe missions. And eventually they knew what was where. In fact, many of these missionaries were actually trained in prospecting, just coincidentally. So they were prospectors too. They could identify minerals, gold, silver, etc., and certain strata in the way that the land will lay. So you find eventually Britain drummed up as part of the empire production a sort of new cause, which would be to push the British system as a good thing upon the rest of the world, especially Africa. And they put massive funding into setting up places in Africa to exploit it. But the trouble, again, because there were pretty large tribes there in some places which didn't like it too much. So they brought the British military in. The taxpayers of Britain funded their wars in Africa, as always. The taxpayers funded the laying of railway lines for the military and, of course, the merchandising that would go on. They took all the resources out of it, and then they privatized it. This is the standard procedure down through history. Eventually, a society was set up in Oxford University, authorized by the British Crown, to specifically send specific people out to Africa to grab all resources, especially diamonds, gold, and silver. And they created a special department within Oxford University for it that picked certain individuals, trained them, like Cecil Rhodes. And he did go out there initially to join his brother, who was already there, looking for diamonds. And eventually they merged with the De Beer Company, and then they formed a secret society back in Oxford that was to train future generations to take over from them, and not only to go over for the resources of Africa, but the natural resources of every country on the planet. That was its function, for a new world order that was to come up in the future. And certainly that's what they did. Africa was one of their main targets. They exploited it. They had to get the wealth. They had to build up their foundations, because you'll find the governments and the great foundations, as they're called, so-called charitable foundations, are really part and parcel of the same organization. The big foundations like Rockefeller, Carnegie, the Rhodes Trust, and many others, even there's various Rothschild trusts as well, under different names. They fund all political movements in the world, in every country. They fund all opposing political groups in the countries, and they also fund the cultural changes and pay those who will spearhead cultural changes